A Light Within Darkness, Chapter 8, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Honestly, with all the predators down here that have attempted to kill me, eat me, or even sexually use my body after either of the other fates I could face. So, to say the least, I was very heavily surprised that the plainly obvious gangsters didn't attempt to fuck me over and just steal the water I was bringing. Nope, I got my neutron star plasma all nice and sealed away in a tiny time capsule and thoroughly warned to under no circumstances disengage the time stasis unless the hive city was being literally invaded by tyrannids or orcs, and at that point, allowing the dying sun's power to cleanse a small chunk of the city would be worth it. When asked about why they would allow me to take what amounted to be a nuke, the spokesman I traded with simply replied, "We know our place in the galaxy. We aren't ignorant just because we live here in the Underhive. With Hive Fleet Leviathan and a large orc whack. In the same space region, it's best to have ways to kill yourself and prevent your biomass from being absorbed by the tyrannids." Honestly, I could respect that. I didn't want to be eaten or die by the tyrannids, and fighting the orcs at least would be far more straightforward, with how they just want to fight for the hell of it. Either way, I got my sun stuff, and once they confirmed they wanted more water, I told them I wanted a chunk of a moon's core. It didn't need to be any special mineral from the moon, but it needed to be from its core. This was for Ellesmere to practice her own solitary moon technique. Obviously, such an exotic request was out of their expectations, so they told me that they could have their associates from the moon mining colonies of the planet send such materials, but it would take a couple weeks for it to reach the Underhive and separate the particular materials I asked for. I also made sure to make it plain as day that I would be able to tell whether it was from the core, and should it not be, I would simply dump the water on the ground then and there. So, a while later, I arrived back in the vault, and once Ellesmere saw I was carrying a small nuke in my arms like a newborn baby, she threw her arms up, saying how I was going to kill us all with my nonsense. As Ellesmere strode back into the storage area to continue making more wraith bone for my future projects, using the material, I called her back in to watch me either do something awesome or kill us both. "Ellesmere, come here and watch me eat a sun." "Fuck you, Monkey. I will die here comfortably on my bed," she yelled back sarcastically. Even if she was speaking caustically, I knew she was using her psychic powers to watch over me and didn't sit with me, as she didn't want to make me think she was pressuring me, so I didn't get bent out of shape for her refusal, and instead I simply stood back up from my own little mediation area I made. "Fine, then I will come to you. I need some eye candy, so I feel motivated to survive this." I spoke gleefully and saw her roll her eyes as she lounged across her bed as she stared at me from across the room. She honestly was probably the most beautiful woman I had seen in both of my lives, as she had this luscious blonde hair that even here in this damp Underhive didn't lose its luster, and her curves fit her flexible frame with generous handful-sized breasts that stretched out the tight shirt I managed to get her. So yes, she was definitely high-quality eye candy, and she knew it, with how she would tease me at times by propping up her breasts and other things when I was teaching her cultivation. As I held the large tube holding the freely floating sun in its confines, I began pushing my divine senses into the tube, thankful with my 9th rank elemental realm that allowed my divine senses to extend to my hands and what they were touching, even if I couldn't leave my body at all. A few minutes later my sluggish divine senses touched the sun within the stasis tube, and I hissed in pain as I began operating the 9-yang sun technique, and blood literally spurted out of my nose as my body temperature violently jumped a whole 50 degrees and brought about a massive pressure difference, and it was only my foundation in the diamond body technique that allowed me to mentally hold on as my blood quite literally boiled in my hands as the neutron star's essence was refined into my body. Seeing my arms glowing like someone putting a high-powered flashlight to a person's fingers and being able to see the blood vessels and bones in my arms in that situation, Ellesmere leaped up and attempted to brace my body as I unsteadily swayed as I sat on the ground. But before she could even burn herself touching me, she burnt her feet as the metal flooring we had in the storage area boiled away my dripping sweat like a drop of water hitting a scalding pan. But my pain wasn't fruitless at all, as the moment I congregated a candle's worth of flames within my dantian, I could feel the pain from absorbing the sun's essence continue to fall even as my absorption speed greater and greater. "I can feel a literal tiny sun in your stomach," Ellesmere said breathlessly in wonder as she threw over some stuff beside me for her to sit upon without burning herself. Then she poked me in my navel, where my dantian was, and she spoke incredulously. I thought you were going to put those sun's energies into something like the Kasaya beads or something. I didn't think you would be so stupid as to actually absorb a piece of a sun. I snorted as I stuck out a finger in front of her and, using a bit of my chi, I made a white-hot flame appear atop my finger and make her hiss from the abrupt temperature increases. And now I can throw fireballs at people that annoy me. I chuckled as Ellesmere rolled her eyes and moved back to her bed, and leaned against the cooler metal wall. Oh, joy. So, what are you going to burn to ashes first? Ellesmere asked me semi-seriously, and for a moment I considered her question seriously, as what does a man who can freely throw fireballs do? They certainly don't go live in a desert where they can't light the sands on fire, living an ascetic life of peace. They go outside and throw fireballs at dead trees, or if they have one, they will throw them into a fire pit to make a barbecue for cheap hot dogs or something. Wanna smell what a mutated spider smells like, when lit on fire? I asked sarcastically, and she threw me a look of disgust before sighing. Actually, it probably can't smell worse than their filthy blood reeks when we kill them with our Kasaya beads. Anyway, I am closing in on finishing my own diamond body technique and wanted to know what we will be doing next. Ellesmere asked me as she laid sideways across her bed. Woman, I don't even know how I will get out of this damn underhive. I thought before I sighed. Honestly, I plan to stay here for a bit longer, as we can deal with whatever mutants come our way, with how small our tunnel is. Also, with my new technique, I will be getting much stronger soon. Not only would I be getting much stronger from my 9-yang star art, but I could feel my chi sublimating into my body, clearly showing me I was ready to break through to the nascent realm.